Get ready. Straight from the streets of LA.
Lower Alabama, that is.
We're talking SEC football, and that's all. This is AP and Kelly as we see it.
I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I said I'm all about that action.
AP Stedham from LA, Lower Alabama.
And I'm Kelly Finley, journalist of more than 24 years in LA as well, but we're talking all things coast to coast, especially when it comes to some football.
This is AP and Kelly, as we see it, a syndicated weekly 1-hour show discussing the Southeastern Conference and always keeping an eye on the National College Football scene and more. And Kelly, how are you?
I like the way you said it, co-host, and more. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, Kelly. I'm good. We had so much fun last week, but more fun this weekend as well. But we got some big games to discuss. But before Kelly, you're going to mention all our social media platforms and just tell everybody to click on and recognize our sites and subscribe, right?
Now look at you jumping the gun right there. I need to know before I do all of that. I need to know what state are you in today? Because that's important when you have a co-host like you.
Yes. I'm in LA, Lower Alabama at the moment. At the moment.
We'll talk more about where you're going this week. But yeah, I have the distinct pleasure to remind everybody about our social media presence. It's a big deal because it's how we stay connected to you. So that means Instagram and Facebook and X. And you'll see our guests there. You'll also see conversations that really matter to you if you love the game as much as we do. Be sure to follow us, AP and Kelly, as we see it. And there we will have so much fun. And then tell a couple of friends. And you can also post some questions if you'd like. And what we will do is we'll ask them for you. So we're like in this together. We're a whole team for sure.
TEAM, correct. And Kelly, we want to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're doing it on video now. We're really enjoying this so far. And I'm enjoying this looking pretty every week, Kelly. I'm enjoying this.
I know. People get to see, they get to match the face with the voice. I mean, that's a big deal. And speaking of the YouTube channel, we've just created our very own show specific channel. So the next time you click on the link, it'll take you right there. You'll be able to see the previous episodes in case you missed it. And then you can see we really know what we're talking about for sure. And we really love this game as well.
Hey, Kelly, we want to thank our great sponsors. Greer's been in business over 100 years, 29 locations, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi. Lucy has the recipe library. They have the coloring contest up until September 28th. The winner, you can bring in your artistry that gets a bag of apples, and I think you get 5,000 credits toward your school as well. And then they have the weekly ads where you can find the fresh produce, the dinner essentials, the snacks for kids at unbeatable prices, the online convenient groceries to go for all those big occasions, parties, and these football games. So take advantage of that to save some time. And remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
Well, listen, those snacks mean a lot because you cannot watch a really good game and not have some really good snacks. Because if you have hangry fans, nobody wins. So I'm definitely very appreciative of all that we get to do when we go shopping at Greer's.
Oh, yes. And then we have Wind Creek, Kelly. We know that the new players can go to the sign-up desk and they mention that code that they've heard and seen on our ticker here, Kelly 25. And
Make sure you look. You see the spelling right there. It's Kelly. Make sure you spell it right because I want you to win all big things, but you got to spell the name right. Kelly's with the Y. We're something special, something different.
At all three locations, Wind Creek Atmore, Wind Creek Montgomery, Wind Creek Wetumpka, and then also Kelly, they have a chance at the free play $1,000 rebate bonus for the first time players as well. So remember, Wind Creek, Kelly 25 with a Y.
And that's right. Cha-ching. Bring, go ahead and pull that lever. I see our Jarrett, he wanted to get in on the on the fun too. I get it. It's a Kelly thing.
Come on over, Jared. Come on over to Alabama.
Right. Hey, but the sponsors allow us to do what we do, and you travel and you stay in great places, and you bring us a whole different angle to the show because of your great relationship. So we're very appreciative of you as well, co-host.
Oh, thank you. And we have Robertsdale Dental Care, 251-947-3636. Dr. Jason Northcutt. Not only does Dr. Jason Northcutt offer basic full-service dental treatment, but Dr. Jason Northcutt has developed a niche within the practice where he provides comprehensive dental implant services such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. Dr. Jason Northcutt has been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems. Come by and see Dr. Jason Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care, 251-947-3636.
Nothing like a beautiful smile. It definitely changes your day and everyone who gets to see you. Good stuff. All right. So we got through all the fine print. We want to get into our cleats. We want to hit the field, and we want to talk some major football. Now, each week we go in order. We go alphabetical, and last week I kind of skipped around. I apologize for that, but but I got my information now as to who we're going to talk about first. I'm ready to rock and roll. We're doing Georgia taking on Kentucky. Tell us what we need to know.
Oh my goodness, Kelly! Kentucky was terrible in the home loss to South Carolina, 31-6.
Ooh.
Brock Vandegrift, the transfer from Georgia. He completed 4 passes, Kelly. The only problem was one was to the other team for a touchdown. So that was not good. So he didn't get any support from his offensive line and other players. So they're going to be playing Georgia this week, and Georgia big winner over Tennessee Tech, 48-3. Georgia's a 24.5-point favorite. So this is a huge game for Brock. He sat on the bench behind Carson Beck, the starting quarterback for Georgia for 2 years. Coming out of high school, Brock was one of the top quarterbacks in the country. He hasn't had a chance to get a lot of reps, but he's at Kentucky. So they have to have simpatico with their offensive line, the quarterback, the wide receiver, the running back, the tight ends on offense, no penalties. And this is a huge game for Kentucky because they could have a total collapse of the season. We did not expect South Carolina to win by so much. I mean, that was the third time South Carolina had beaten Georgia. 3 consecutive victories for the Gamecocks and Shane Beamer, but it's really going to get down. Can they turn this thing around and get some rhythm with their passing game, which they didn't have any last week? And Carson Beck is on fire with that Georgia offensive team, scoring a lot of points. Georgia's a dominant team right now.
Well, what I just heard you say is Kentucky needs to get it together if they're going to have a W anywhere near their name, and that Georgia needs to do what Georgia is doing best, has been projected to do. So no surprises there, for sure. All right. Up next, LSU taking on South Carolina. You've got this game as our number 2 on the list. Why so?
Well, LSU and South Carolina, because of that big upset by South Carolina, game day will be there. So all the eyes will be in Columbia, South Carolina. South Carolina beat Kentucky 31-6. Kelly, that South Carolina team, they have these 2 edge rushers, Dylan Stewart and Kelly Kennard, both about 6'5", 6'6", 250. They are so difficult to block off the edge. So LSU, has the pocket quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, playing. They beat Nicholls State. It wasn't that big of a victory, though, so they have to show some consistency. And he has a pocket pass. But LSU needs to have some balance because you have those 2 edge rushers coming at you with no running game. It's going to be a long day for the LSU Tigers in Columbia. And Kelly, let's remember, LSU's got 2 tackles. They're going to be drafted first, second round, probably, Will Campbell and Emory Jones. So it's going to be fun to watch those 2 matchups, the LSU offensive line versus South Carolina. And on South Carolina side, Lenora Sellers is the quarterback, redshirt freshman, 6'3", 245, big quarterback, strong arm. But he had some fumbles, even though they beat Kentucky. So he's got to have no turnovers and test those LSU backs, defensive backs on the deep throw. And Rocket Sanders, the transfer from Arkansas, the big running back, can he have a big game against LSU? But there'll be a boisterous crowd in Columbia because they support their team.
That's right. And if South Carolina needs any type of pep talk, we know Coach Dawn Staley has that covered. She and her team just at the White House, doing the customary, touring of as they celebrate being champions. So, I mean, it's in their blood. They just got to make sure that they look to the sisters if need be for a little pep talk.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Kelly,
how about, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Kelly. You're on spot. You're on.
No, I mean, are we wrapping up with this game? Because
we wrapped up.
Next. Okay, cool.
We're ready.
All right, Boston College and Mizzou. We love saying Mizzou for a couple reasons, but we all know why we like to say Mizzou.
Luther, Burton the third, the
Luther,
wide
right?
receiver for
Luther.
sure.
Because see, when
So,
you drop the er, make it a I mean, you know it's for real, Luther.
oh yeah, Kelly, big game. Number 6 Missouri hosts number 24 BC, so that's 2 ranked teams in the SEC. Their schedule this week, but BC, they're led by Bill O'Brien. We know he coached at Alabama as an assistant under Nick Saban, coached at Penn State, and with the Texans as well. So he knows the SEC. He's got a player, Thomas Castellanos. He came from Central Florida, not big, 5'10", 196. He was second in the nation last year, Kelly, with over 1,100 yards behind Jaden Daniel, the Heisman Trophy winner. And so he's thrown for a couple thousand last year. 15 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 57% on his completion. But anyway, Missouri, only 6 plays of 20-plus yards. So they're looking for Luther Burden III and company. Theo Weiss, the wide receiver from Oklahoma, transferred, had 13 receptions against Buffalo. They beat Buffalo 38-0. So, Kelly, we're tight on this segment. So we're going to come back in a few moments with AP and Kelly. We see what's that.
We got to give them a quick preview because we've got guests coming up after the break.
Oh yeah, guests. We have Dave Gorn, the Wake Forest sideline reporter, and Mark Stewart from the Milwaukee Sentinel, the Journal up there, cover the Alabama-Wisconsin game.
There we go. We'll be right back with more on AP and Kelly as we see it right after this.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
Let the games begin at Wind Creek Casino, where new players get a free play rebate of up to $1,000 based on their first day's play. Just stop by Player Services at any Alabama location and sign up for a rewards account to get all the details. Mention you heard this ad on the radio and give the code Kelly25 and we'll throw in a $25 free play bonus. That's KELLY 25. Don't miss out on our new player promise, exclusively from Wind Creek. Minimum $75 loss required for free play rebate. Get full details at windcreek.com or see Player Services.
And we are back. Welcome to AP and Kelly as we see it. AP, as usual, every week we have the best guests ever. Tell us who we should welcome to the show right now.
Yes, we have Dave Gorn. He's the executive director at the National Sports Media Association. He's also a teaching adjunct professor. But the reason we're having him on is because he's the sideline radio reporter for Wake Forest football, which a game I'll be covering this weekend, Ole Miss at Wake Forest. Welcome to AP and Kelly as we see it, Dave.
Thank you, AP and Kelly. Great to be with you guys.
Yes, nice to meet you virtually, of course. I'm very excited to pick your brain on what you think, fans should know this week, especially AP, since he's going to be in the house. That's some VIP stuff right there.
That's right.
Dave, I think we met in Newport, Rhode Island at the American Athletic Conference Media Days.
I believe it was. In fact, I was just there last month. I was up in Massachusetts visiting my sister, and I had a former coworker of mine who lives across Narragansett Bay in Jamestown, Rhode Island. I went to see him through Newport, across the Claiborne Pell Bridge to see him, and then back over. So, it's been several years since I was in. That might have been the last time I was in Newport.
Right. I think you missed. I missed you in Newport. I was there about a month or so ago. Great place to visit if you've never been there. I highly recommend it for sure. But anyway, on to the ball game. Ole Miss at Wake Forest. Dave, there was a quarterback battle at Wake Forest, but I think Hank Bachmeier, he solidified the position. Hank from California via Boise State and Louisiana Tech had a big game last week in the 1-point loss to Virginia, 31-30, over 400 yards passing the football. So how you enjoy watching and covering Hank?
Love it. He's I actually met him long before he started in fall practice. I'm sorry, summer camp. Everyone calls it fall camp. We play 3 games before summer's over, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Actually, interesting story. Wake Forest offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Warren Ruggiero came up to me at a basketball game, Wake Forest game back in December. He said, our new portal quarterback, Hank Bachmeier, his girlfriend's a TV sports reporter in Louisiana.
Yes,
Would you mind
that's
talking to her,
correct.
giving her the lay of the land? And I said, absolutely, because that's what I do. And she ended up getting a job here. She actually came and visited in January because she was coming to visit him, and we had lunch, and she was great. And then he came and picked her up. So that's when I met him for the first time back in January. And a really, really nice guy. He was not very happy after the game on Saturday last, as you might imagine, even though he threw for 400 yards. When you don't win, it doesn't matter your individual stats, but he's picked it up pretty quickly. There's not a big gap between him and the guy who's now number 2, Michael Kern, who's been here for 5 years. And you hate to see somebody lose that job, right? But Hank has kind of taken it by the horns, and Dave Clawson, Wake's coach, said yesterday that Hank will start, and he's the number 1 for now.
You say he wasn't happy with the results, obviously, from a team standpoint. What should they fix from the last game to ensure that they have a better outcome this week?
Well, obviously, if you're up 13 points going into the fourth quarter, you want to, I think it was Cedric Maxwell, the old NBA player, said you got to step on their necks, right? Now, having said that, doing that to Virginia is maybe a little easier than Ole Miss, who's, as you guys know, coming in, when you see 128-5 in 2 games, that'll get you, or 128-3 in 2 games, that'll get your attention. You look up and down that Ole Miss roster, and I counted up yesterday the number of transfer guys, and Dave Clawson was very complimentary to how Lane Kiffin has gone about assembling his roster and putting together his team, because, as you well know, you don't just throw a bunch of guys out there, no matter how good they are. You have to coach them up. You have to put them in the right position, and you have to put them in position to win. And so far, they've been awfully impressive.
Yeah, they're outstanding. Big receivers, a ton of receivers. The quarterbacks, Jackson Dart, has been there the 3rd year. Lane Kiffin, an offensive guru, the defensive side of the ball. Dave, how can Wake Forest get ready for this game defensively to try to slow them down?
I think what Clawson said yesterday is you can't get ahead of yourself. You have to he said, I know you guys like cliches, one play at a time. You can't look past doing your job on the next play. And as he said, you get through that. It's first quarter to second quarter. Now you're through halftime, get to third quarter. Now, if you're in position to win in the fourth quarter, that's all you can ask. Wake was in position to win in the fourth quarter last week against Virginia. If you can be in position to beat Ole Miss, that'll say something. But again, you have to get it done.
Dave, your cadence is impeccable. I'm interested to know, you're the professor of what? What are you teaching over there?
Sports broadcasting. I think they say teach what you think you know, right? So as a 24-year veteran of television sports, and actually radio has probably been longer since I started when I was in college. I think I know it, so I try to pass it on, and you guys would be interested. I teach on Monday nights in the fall only. My class is 6:30 to 9 o'clock, and usually 75 to 80% of my class are athletes because it's when they can take class. And it's been really interesting to see. I tell them it's just like being an athlete. You have to perform. We don't do tests or quizzes. We do projects. We'll do a sports cast in their TV studio a week from Monday. We'll do a little play-by-play. We'll do a reporter feature package, and then the final. And I don't know how I came up with this, but it was a good idea. The final is an in-class sports talk show. Basically, like
I love it. Listen,
you can take it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've been a journalist almost 25 years, so I'm very interested in being a student of yours. But wouldn't you agree that when you have to go to the basics to teach others, it sharpens your skills as well?
No question, because the underlying talent you need is to be able to write in broadcast style, which is write conversationally, which sounds really easy, write the way you talk, right? And it's one of the hardest things to master. It was for me. Even 20 years in, I'd have to read what I had just written and say, is that conversational, or do I sound like Johnny Reporter like that. So
Right. Nobody wants Anchorman out there.
that's correct.
But if you think about it, we always talk about, of course, the field, but you're getting these young men, ready for business after, they possibly go to the next level. And that's a big deal because this is really a business.
Well, it's really interesting to me. First night of class, I say, all right, hands up. How many people want to do this for a living? And I'm usually lucky if I get one or two. This year, actually, I think I got 3 or 4 hands up. So if the majority of the class isn't going to do this for a living, I had to think about how I teach this class. So I use it as a fun way to teach them how to be confident, effective communicators. And you can use that skill in anything.
And then if you put NIL there, then their ears will perk up, because the better you speak, the more companies can use you to endorse what they're doing as an influencer, which means more money in your bank account.
Right. Or, as I like to say, when I walked into class for the first time 3 weeks ago, I wondered how many of them were making more than me.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
A few.
Yes.
Dave, what should somebody know about your head coach, Dave Clawson? The people in the SEC, what should they know about him and how his style of coaching? Last minute and a half.
Really smart guy. I mean, he knew when he came to Wake Forest, you have to do things differently to win because you're not getting the same caliber of talent here. The academic requirements here will not allow you to get the same people into school. I mean, it's just that way. And you don't have the hundreds of thousands of living alumni. I think the last I saw, Wake had 45 to 50,000. I mean, Ohio State has that many students currently enrolled.
Right. Yes.
And so you have to do things differently. So if you've watched Wake at all over the last several years, they go with that slow mesh RPO, the run pass option offense, where the quarterback has that football in the running back's gut till the last second. He's looking for keys, whether he's going to pull it or keep it in the gut. And it's been interesting to watch. Some people here aren't big fans of it because when it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? When it works, it's great.
Right.
And so, it's a wait and see. How's it gonna work against this school this week? And Clawson said yesterday, this team has to learn how to win. Had a bad year last year. They had gone to 7 straight bowl games, so that was different. Now, this is a veteran team, 16 or 17 returning starters. Will they learn how to win?
Dave, you talk sports for a living, but be a meteorologist for us. What's the weather looking like for the game, for kickoff?
I haven't looked today because I'm always afraid to, because I'll email you pictures of me from the sidelines in my rain gear. It's not a pretty sight. But it could be, if you're a Wake fan, it could be the great equalizer, right? So maybe you root for rain on Saturday.
Possibly so. Hey, Dave, we want to thank you so much. Dave Warren, the sideline reporter for Wake Forest football, executive director at the National Sports Media Association, and teaching adjunct professor. Dave Gorn, we really appreciate it. And we'll be right back after these messages with AP and Kelly as we see it.
I'm AP Stedham with Dr. Jason Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Jason Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
Welcome back to AP and Kelly as we see it. As we continue with the show, we have another great guest joining us, talking all things, of course, football. AP, who do we have on deck?
Oh, we have a great guest, a special guest, Mark Stewart from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. He's the beat writer covering the Wisconsin Badgers. And to the folks in Alabama, they haven't been there since 1928, Mark, to watch a football game between those two opponents, Alabama and Wisconsin. So welcome to AP and Kelly as we see it, Mark Stewart. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
How y'all doing?
Listen,
Great.
I'm better now that I see that we're Twitter friends. Excuse me, ex friends now. So thank you very much. I appreciate the follow.
Oh, okay.
So, Mark, what is the level of excitement up there in Wisconsin? They haven't seen Alabama since 1928 up in Wisconsin. Of course, they played them in Arlington, Texas in the last 10 years. But what's the excitement level to have Alabama on campus?
No, I think it's huge. I mean, it's huge. I mean, you talk about Alabama. I mean, no SEC team has been up here since like 1971. You know, it's
Wow.
rare that teams from that conference, you know, come up in this neck of the woods. So I mean,
Yes.
you got the big noon kickoff. You know, they're doing their pregame stuff here. You know, so there's going to be a lot of student energy, you know, going on here, and obviously, you know, they got for the stadium, they got the stripe out. You know, the red and the white going around
Red and the white.
around the stadium. So it's yeah, it's not your average game. It's not South Dakota. No
No,
disrespect.
I guess so. Red and white. Alabama will fit right in with that crimson, I guess, crimson and white. But Mark, you have the transfer quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke. I know Tyler from Glastonbury, Connecticut. He played at Suffield Academy, transferred from Miami. What is your assessment thus far?
Well, I mean, you know, to be honest, I mean, there's some room for growth. I mean, you know, the first, I mean, I will give it in this, you know, the second game was better than the first game.
Yes.
I think, you know, the coaches seem like they're pretty, you know, satisfied and happy with his progress. But, you know, early on, there have been some, you know, throws where in week one, if Western Michigan's guys can catch the ball, you know, they might get a couple of interceptions in the red zone. So first week, you know, maybe you credit that to the first week. He made a couple bad throws in the red zone that, you know, were risky and that a better team probably would have picked off. Last week, I think was pretty solid. You know, they had a lot of big plays, 50-yard touchdown pass. I think they had 4 or 5 explosive plays in the first half. When in the first game, their longest game was 17 yards. So you see progress there, and those, and I think all but one of those explosive plays were through the passing game.
For those who may not follow you yet on social media, your latest article that's been posted says 6 Alabama players to know not named Jalen Milroe, who will be key versus UW. Tell us more about that article.
Yeah, you know, it's just one of those things, you know, to give people, you know, a little insight more into Alabama. It's not something, I mean, you talk about the excitement about the game. It's not something we typically do for an average opponent. So, so I just kind of went through, and for my own opinion, you know, kind of went through and said, okay, who are the, you know, 5 or 6 guys who, you know, might be at the top of the scouting report. Threw in an offensive lineman in there too, because you got to give the old lineman some love.
Big boys need loving.
Yeah, you know, and you know what, you know, one of the guys that I'm interested to see is this freshman receiver, you know, Williams. I think is Ricky
Ryan Williams.
Yeah, the names are all a blur. I've been, you know, typing like crazy. Yeah, in fact, a few minutes ago, I just emerged from my basement and I've been typing all morning. But you know, Ryan Williams, a 17-year-old freshman, a guy who, you know, is supposed to be. I mean, he's supposed to be in high school this year. You know,
yeah, he's funny. He went to school with my kids. That's the only reason why I'm very familiar with him. Yeah, he was supposed to be class of 2025, but he upped his graduation day so he could get going. And when you, in the grand scheme of things, you know, especially with this being an election year, think about the fact he can't even vote. But there he is, just crushing it on the field.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, and so that's one guy I'm definitely, you know, I want to see what he's going to be able to do. Are they going to be able to stretch the field with him? They got some explosive running backs. You know, they got a lot of guys Alabama does that really complement having a talented quarterback. I mean, you know, from the outside looking in, you always look at these recruiting rankings and things, and it's like, you know, the Alabamas of the world are getting the 4 and the 5-star guys, and you know, Wisconsin, the typical Wisconsin recruit is a 3-star kid, and then, you know, maybe they'll get a 4-star kid every now and then. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this matches up, and you can even tell from talking with the players here, they're excited about seeing how they match up too.
How do you make sure, though, to contain that excitement so that they can consistently stay on top of their job at hand? Because it's easy to get caught up in the hype. I mean, all the cameras, all the people, all the this and that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're sort of used to it. I mean, they, in the Big Ten, Ohio State was here last year. So they run through Penn State occasionally, Michigan. So it's not like, I mean, so the Wisconsin Alabama thing is unique. But, having to face, a top quality, high powered team is not unique to this group. And even you go back to last year in Wisconsin playing Ohio State, there's a pretty decent amount of carryover of guys who are still playing. And, I think, that was a pretty solid performance. Ohio State won the
Mark froze up on us for a second. There you are.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. But it wasn't like Ohio State 2 years ago when, in the first quarter you're looking around and you're like, Wisconsin has no chance. It wasn't one of those games last year. So I don't know. Like I said, I think they can be competitive, but until they get on the field, you never know. Alabama's used to this. They're used to everybody being excited about them coming to town and being pumped up, and the stadium's full of people that are hoping that they lose. So, like I said, it's going to be an interesting dynamic on Saturday.
Hey, Mark, let me ask you, who are some threats offensively for Wisconsin? And can you tell me one of the linebackers may be injured and out, one of the top linebackers, second leading tackler, about the defensive player?
Yeah. The linebacker you're talking about, Jake Chaney, he's not injured, but he was flagged with targeting on in the second half against South Dakota. So with the targeting penalty, then you got to sit out the first. If it happens in the second half, then that player has to sit out the first half of the next game. So they'll be out without their starting linebacker and the guy who has the helmet communication for most of the game. They'll be without him for the first half. But, jumping back to the offense, as far as offensive weapons go, we talked about Van Dyke. Their top receiver is back from last year, Will Pauling. He's a slot receiver. He does a lot between, obviously in the middle of the field, is real good at finding soft spots in the defense. Running game's been solid. One of the running backs, it's really a two-man running game with senior, actually he's a 6-year senior, Ches Malusi, and another guy transferred from Oklahoma named Tywee Walker. Walker didn't play last week, looked like he had a leg injury, but it didn't look like one of those things that would keep him out against Alabama. So those are some of their top guys. Other receivers, I think some of their other guys are more of kind of, we're waiting for those guys to emerge.
Mark, when you were growing up, did you play football?
Yes, not supremely well, but yes, I did play back in the day.
That's totally your story, but what position did you play?
I was a cornerback, defensive back.
All right. So do you keep your eyes on your player because you know those routes, you know what it should look like or hope what it should look like?
Yeah, what I look more at is like the line play. That's kind of what I find, fascinating. And like when I listen to guys on the radio or on TV, I'm just amazed at like how quickly they pick up like, oh, this guy made this block and this is why that worked. So I'm really more interested in that part of the game of like, kind of because we always see the running back break away for these plays, or we see the quarterback being able to, have all this extra time in the pocket. But, the offensive line, that's kind of the why. And so that's kind of the part of the game that intrigues me. And I would say that's the part that, for the most part, I'm trying to look at and trying to learn more, every game.
Hey, Mark, we want to thank you so much. Mark Stewart from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel covering the Wisconsin Badgers. We'll have a good game on Saturday, and we'll be right back with AP and Kelly after these messages.
Let the games begin at Wind Creek Casino, where new players get a free play rebate of up to $1,000 based on their first day's play. Just stop by Player Services at any Alabama location and sign up for a rewards account to get all the details. Mention you heard this ad on the radio and give the code Kelly25, and we'll throw in a $25 free play bonus. That's KELLY 25. Don't miss out on our new player promise, exclusively from Wind Creek. Minimum $75 loss required for free play rebate. Get full details at windcreek.com or see Player Services.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
Welcome back to AP and Kelly as we see it. So thankful to our guests. AP, you always bring us the best of the best.
Dave Gorn, Wake Forest, and our friend Mark Stewart for Wisconsin. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue with the theme of course, talking football. On our list, we did want to wrap up our first half with Tulane and Oklahoma because we hadn't gotten to them yet because we are really hyped up for the games this week. What do we need to know, AP?
Oh, yeah, Tulane and Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a 14.5-point favorite. Tulane and Darian Mensah, the quarterback, he had over, his yardage against Kansas State in a loss was the total offense was 491 yards, and they lost the ball game to Kansas State. So they definitely can score points. And the running back is Mekhi Hughes. He had 128 yards. He's the first freshman ever in Tulane history to have 1,000 yards. Mario Williams, they're playing Oklahoma. Transfer from Oklahoma and USC. So he's playing his friends from the Sooners again. Oklahoma, they struggled last week against Houston, 16-12. Kelly, as we discussed before with our good friend Dean Blevins of Oklahoma City, the TV broadcaster, they're not ready on the offensive line. They got to do much better. So they need some Jackson Arnold needs some support from the offensive line, and we'll see what happens. But that's an interesting game. Tulane, don't take them lightly.
I mean, I don't think we've ever talked about a double transfer. I mean, so much power. My lights are out. I mean, how about that? I mean, I tell you what. Up. But we keep rolling. We keep rolling.
Oh my.
Continuing on, Alabama and Wisconsin.
Right, we had the good conversation with Mark Stewart. Alabama is a 15.5-point favorite, first time in Wisconsin since 1928. Tyler Van Dyke, the quarterback that transferred from Miami, 64%, thrown for over 6,600 yards in his career so far, 51 touchdowns, 19 TDs. Will Pauling returned from last year, wide receiver, 74 receptions, 6 TDs. Alabama, 13 penalties last week, Kelly. South Florida is like kryptonite when they play that team. It was in jeopardy the last 6 minutes. They put, I think it was about 3 touchdowns, ended up beating USF 42-16. Need better play from the offensive line. The penalties, fumbles. Alabama needs to clean it up, baby.
Clean it up, okay? Because Alabama fans, they are not about that life. They are so unaccustomed to what they saw, and they don't want that happening again. Another game we've already talked about, Ole Miss and Wake Forest.
Right, Ole Miss is on a roll, 23.5-point favorite, number 5 team in the country. Wake Forest, that 1-point loss to Virginia. Hank Bachmeier threw for over 400 yards, the quarterback for the Demon Deacons. Jackson Dart, he's on fire, 795 yards, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 87%. Ole Miss, they'll probably keep rolling, scoring all those points. I don't know if the Deacons can keep up or stop them on that side of the ball.
I like knowing that not only do our guests talk about this, but also, you add a little more extra oomph to it so that our friends who are watching, they understand the importance of the game and who's who and what's what, as we always like to do. All right, continuing on with our list, Texas A&M taking on Florida. What do we need to know about this matchup?
Yeah, Texas A&M, a 3.5-point favorite. Florida, they came to life last week, beat Stanford 45-7. They put in the freshman DJ Lagway from Texas, big quarterback, 6'3", 230 pounds, 400-plus yards passing, Kelly, as a freshman. That's pretty good. So Graham Mertz is back, the transfer from Wisconsin, to be the starting quarterback for Florida. So you probably see the two quarterbacks. And then Texas A&M, Connor Wegman, he didn't play a good first game against Notre Dame. They beat McNeese last week, 52-10. He has to cut down on the turnovers. He's only thrown for 52% completion. So A&M's got a lot of work on the offensive side. In Florida, with that schedule, Kelly, they need to eke out this victory.
You got to make them count. I mean, it seems like there's some games that seem to count a little bit more, even though it's only one loss or one win. It's just the momentum that it can take, these teams for the rest of the season is very important to focus on. Up next, Kent State taking on Tennessee.
Kelly, Tennessee 48-point favorite versus Kent State out of the MAC. Kent State lost to St. Francis. Tennessee, Kelly, 51-10 over North Carolina State. There's some good news and bad news for people.
So wait. Start with the bad news first.
The bad news is Josh Heupel, the head coach of Tennessee, has his quarterback, Nico Iamaleava. He is very good, very good.
Yes.
And he threw a couple of interceptions, so we got to watch that turnovers with him. So that's some bad news for Tennessee.
Okay, so what's the good news?
Well, I would say the good news for the Tennessee fans, they believe that they have a chance to be in that playoff.
Okay.
They have a chance with Nico.
That's what dreams are made of. Yeah, he's got quite a rocket of an arm.
He does. He's very athletic, tremendous volleyball player. And Tim Banks is the DC, and they've got an edge rusher, James Pearson, his compadre on the other side. And the secondary is improved. The front seven with the linebackers are very good. And that's some more bad news for the Tennessee opponents. Good news for the Tennessee fans.
So one team's bad news is the other team's good news. I see where you're going with this. Okay. All right. Texas Antonio versus Texas. Tell me more about this interstate matchup.
Right. Texas San Antonio, they have a good program. They lost 49-10 to Texas State. But Kelly, do you want me to talk softly about what Texas did last week?
Are you whisper it or just
can I whisper that they beat Michigan up there in Ann Arbor?
No, we didn't even acknowledge that. We just jumped over that. But listen.
All right.
Listen, you and Angelique though called that game, and as I was watching it, I was like, they were right. Well, it makes me say "Go Blue" even louder. I don't care.
Right? Yeah. No, Kelly. So Texas is a 30-point favorite in this game, but that was an impressive win against Michigan. They lost some people, of course. Michigan did. They couldn't run the ball effectively. I think Texas held them to 82 yards, which is very impressive for Texas, because my question all the time with Texas is their toughness. We know they're going to put points on the board, and they had a host of receivers, as we mentioned. They couldn't guard them all. But the challenge this week for them is, are they a team of maturity? Can they manage success?
Well, and let me just say this to you, as a real true fan, you love your team as much when they win as you do when they get an L. Right. It's okay. It's another week in the game that we love. So there you have it. That is my Go Blue statement of the show.
How about games left?
That's right. Exactly. We're not new to this.
No.
That's Auburn. What do both teams need to really concentrate on as they both vie to get this win?
Yeah, just backtracking. I was at the Cal-Auburn game. California, magnificent quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. He played tremendous, Kelly. I really was impressed with him. He just missed 2 passes in the first half. I think it was 15 for 17, 17 for 19. And he flowed. He was 6'5", 230. He was so graceful in the pocket, accurate. He had excellent receivers. The defense played well on that side of the ball. Auburn played fine defensively, but offensively, Kelly, no rhythm. If they were in a dance contest, they were dead last.
Really?
Last.
They had 2 left feet?
Bad. I don't even know they had that much. I don't know if they had that much. Kelly. They were bad. They have some young receivers we know, but Peyton Thorne, he threw 4 interceptions. They had a fumble, penalties. So might have Hank Brown, the second string quarterback, come in and then some Mexico games. New Mexico, put 39 points on Arizona in that 61-39 loss, and scored 31 again on the next game, Montana State. So anything with New Mexico, those Auburn fans, they get nervous. Remember last year, 3-touchdown loss to New Mexico State?
There you go.
So don't take them for granted. They put points on the board. They may not have any defense, but They put points on the board. So
and clearly their favorite points are in the 30s. So
yeah,
you know,
right, 31.
keep an eye out.
I think it is.
Keep an eye out on
39, 31, right? 39 and 31, right? Yeah. Unbelievable.
Our UAB Blazers taking on Arkansas. The reason why I say I've got a kid that attends UAB, so I'm going to be watching this a little bit differently.
Right. They lost to Louisiana Monroe 32-6. UAB did. Arkansas in a tough loss, overtime against Oklahoma State. They had a double-digit lead. They're a 24-point favorite in this game. Kelly, Arkansas 648 yards of offense, and they lost. Okay,
and they lost.
How does that happen? 3 turnovers.
Because the other team must have had one more yard. It had to.
Yeah. Oh no! I think it was about 200 yards less actually. But Taylon Green, the 6'6", 230 transfer from Boise, quarterbacks Arkansas, he had 400 plus yards passing, 26 for 45, 1 touchdown, 1 TD. Another player I'm liking this one particular player. His name is Jaquindon Jackson. We spoke about him a little bit. Texas, Utah transfer to Arkansas. He was a top recruit out of Texas. 6'2", 233. He had 149 yards, 24 carries, 3 TDs, but they didn't win. Wide receiver Andrew Armstrong, 10 receptions, 164 yards. And they shut down Ollie Gordon, the big star for Oklahoma State, held him to 49 yards on 17 carries, and they still lost the game. So Arkansas, plenty of offense. Just clean it up.
Yeah.
Clean it up.
Yeah.
Go back to
the drawing board and sharpen everything. All right. 1 minute left. We've got 2 more games. Vandy taking on Georgia State, and then Toledo taking on Mississippi State. Tell us about both.
Yeah. Vandy quickly taking on Georgia State, 10.5-point favorite. Their quarterback, Vandy, Diego Pavia, has brought a lot of life to the team. He's doing very well with them. Vanderbilt bringing them, they're 2-0 right now. So it's Vandy versus Georgia State in Atlanta. Toledo plays Mississippi State, and they beat UMass 38-23. Mississippi State was down 30-3. The Arizona State came back 30-23. They need to play better on some defense. I know their offense will be pretty good under Jeff Levy. So that's the show for this week, Kelly.
Yeah, they need to add us to their game plan if they want to win big. From AP and Kelly as we see it. Have a great week. We'll see you back next week right here on this YouTube channel.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
Let the games begin at Wind Creek Casino, where new players get a free play rebate of up to $1,000 based on their first day's play. Just stop by Player Services at any Alabama location and sign up for a rewards account to get all the details. Mention you heard this ad on the radio and give the code Kelly25, and we'll throw in a $25 free play bonus. That's KELLY 25. Don't miss out on our new player promise, exclusively from Wind Creek. Minimum $75 loss required for free play rebate. Get full details at windcreek.com or see Player Services.